So we understand that in order to down convert the input RF frequency, we need a local oscillator as another input to the mixer block. And now we will be concentrating today how to generate that local oscillator frequency, omega or FL. This particular block is known as essentially as frequency synthesizer. And the major building block of any frequency synthesizer, if you look at the building block of any frequency synthesizer, is suppose you have a PFD, or you can just plot it there. Phase frequency detector. Then this is the reference clock. And after the PFD, the next block is the charge pump. And the charge pump output, which is the current output, that is actually goes to a loop filter. And this loop filter voltage output is a V control voltage that is going to a block called VCO. And the VCO frequency having two outputs. One is actually the signal that is coming, which is going to the LO. So this is the output. And also there is another output, which is fed to a block called frequency divider. And it goes to the PFD. And this frequency divider is divide the frequency of the VCO, and it continuously compared with the reference clock. Let me explain you with example. Suppose I am using, say, Bluetooth. So in the Bluetooth application, suppose our frequency is 2.4 GHz. So this is the PLL, the phase lock loop, where the frequency and the phase has to be locked with respect to the reference clock. The reference clock is normally coming from a crystal. Crystal and a divider. There is a divider block. So this is external supply. That is the reference clock. For example, the reference clock say 5 MHz. Now I told you that for any frequency, say my frequency range is 2.4 to 2.48 GHz. Suppose I am putting channel 2.405, 2.410, 2.415, 2.420 GHz. So this is channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4, and so on. So we understand there is a 5 MHz spacing in between the two channels. It is not that the channel spacing is 5 MHz and giving the crystal oscillator 5 MHz. It may be multiple of that, depending upon your performance. Now look at here. Suppose I am using my channel 1. So my VCO frequency, say at particular voltage, it is 2.4 GHz. But my reference clock is 5 MHz. So I am comparing my signal at 5 MHz. But VCO frequency is 2.4 GHz, which is acting as the local oscillator to the mixer. Then what we will be doing, that we will actually divide this frequency, say 488. In this case, if you multiply with 5 MHz, okay, or if you divide 488 divided by 2.4, so you will get this basically 5. So these two frequencies when locked, I say that this loop is locked. If it is not locked, suppose the VCO frequency is not at 2.4 but say at 2.35 GHz, then it will actually compare this and the PFD output will be a non-zero value, that is unlocked. So we will talk about this. Suppose there are two things. Suppose these are the two frequencies. One is the clock frequency and another one is the VCO frequency. They might have the same time period or frequency, but they have a phase difference. If they have a phase difference, then also the PFD output is a non-zero. So the PFD output, as long as their phase is not synchronous, the output voltage from the PFD, basically you are making, suppose this is the PFD, so difference of this, so if you generate some kind of a pulse here, then this is called, that means the pulse width modulated signal, okay, where the duration of the width is actually equal to the phase difference delta phi. Of the two incoming signal, one is the clock and other is the divider output. That means for VCO divided by. And the difference of that is the duration. There is a pulse width modulated signal is going to be charged. If it is lagging, then the down pass will be on. Depending upon this, nothing you fix. So if you can make the sign of that up and down, accordingly switches will be on. So look at here, the current path, when this switch is on, then the current will find the path and it will actually charge my capacitors. When it is lagging, then the down pulse will be triggered and this path will be on, then the capacitor will find the path to be discharged to the ground, to this current source. So this up and down pulse, the duration of that, the magnitude of the duration of that depending upon the phase difference. So you understand that we have translated the phase difference between the divider output signal with respect to the reference clock into some sort of current which is charging the capacitor. Now if the capacitor I, okay, is integrated over the time 0 to say t and then 1 by c, that gives you the v. Q by c equal to v. So that voltage is essentially my control voltage. So how a phase difference is converted to a current pulse whose duration is depending upon the pulse width is finally to fade a loop filter. A filter is essential for the stability of this loop as well as for reducing the ripples of the control voltage. It is going to the VCO. Now the VCO will, according to the control voltage, will change in frequency and accordingly the output will be divided by the divider, and then it will finally go to the locked conditions when the output of the PFD is 0. So this cycle will go on until the locking is established. Suppose now I want to make to channel 2. So this is the channel 1. So I want to go to channel 2. What I should do? Then my VCO frequency should be, what would my LO frequency in that case? Would be 2.405 gigahertz. So VCO should produce that 2.05 gigahertz. In that case, what will happen? The divider is just added by 1. So it becomes 489. So this 2.405 divided by 489, again it becomes 5 megahertz. And then again it is being fed into a loop until and unless its phase is locked in. Therefore we understand that in order to separate channels from channel 1 to channel 16, or you can say 2.4 gigahertz to 2.48 gigahertz, I have to keep on increasing my divider number, and accordingly from the VCO frequency will always, whatever be the LO frequency, will be divided by the frequency divider, will produce the reference clock frequency. So that is the essential of a frequency synthesizer. Now one of the major building block of this frequency synthesizers is the VCO. So for this hour, we will mainly concerned with the design of the VCO. What are the properties of the voltage control oscillators and how we do actually design a VCO, and after that I will actually go to the actual design followed by simulation. The purpose of my lecture is to make low power, low noise, on-chip LC-VCO. When I talk about low power, then we have to understand that how the core power loss can be reduced. Let's go into the slide. So, when you think of you are trying to develop a QVCO, you have several options. One of the options could be to use a ring oscillators. Most of these people are very much conversant with the ring oscillators. You know inverter, odd number inverters that will introduce the phase difference. And you know, when satisfy the Barkhouse criteria, it starts oscillations. But you have to be careful that for what applications you are planning to use this oscillator. If you are to use it for some kind of a radio receiver at RF, where the phase noise performance is extremely important, then this kind of ring oscillators would not be advised. Because the ring oscillator is easy to design, takes very low area and low power consumptions, but its phase noise is very poor. Therefore, the digital implementation of frequency generation in today's technology is relevant only when the phase noise performance requirement is not so stringent. If the performance requirement is very stringent, then it is not advisable. Then the next one is the main building block for the VCO, which widely used architecture is called LC-VCO. And LC-VCO, you remember that whenever you make a receiver or transmitters, you need both in phase and quad phase components. Because all of you know that because of the Hilbert transformations, you have to get SSB signals, so you need both the quadratic components. It is better to have a local oscillators twice the requirement. Suppose you are designing a 2.4 gigahertz ZigBee transceivers, then your local oscillator you design at 4.8 gigahertz, and then you divide it by 2 so that you can get Q and Q bar, that is in phase and the quad phase components at 2.4 gigahertz very easily. So that's why you will see most of the architectures is like that. Suppose I have to design a 900 megahertz oscillators for GSM applications. Then actually we will make a 1.8 gigahertz TCO. Then we will use a frequency divider that is simply a flip-flop. And then in phase and the quad phase components is easily produced. Now this kind of frequency divider may be cross-coupled D-latch or maybe injection lock dividers. Normally, divider design is very critical for any frequency-based design. And you have to be careful about the divider. Two important is power consumptions, and secondly, its self-resonance frequency. If the divider self-resonance frequency is equal to your operating frequency, then you will be in a trouble. So make the divider frequency, resonance frequency is much more than the actual operating frequency. That is one of the design criteria for that. Now this LC-VCO, what are the challenge? That on-chip realization of this inductor coupled with voltage control oscillator is the paucity of having high quality factor inductor. Because inductor in a CMOS platform are much lower, whereas in a VCO, when you require a very low phase noise. In phase noise performance, if you look at the phase noise performance, then it is inversely proportional to 1 by Q square. So it demands high quality factors. Unfortunately, when you want to implement an inductor on chip, then its quality factor is not that high. So you have to understand your design having that constraints already you have. And then the power consumptions. You have to make the power consumptions much lower, because one of the most power hungry block in any transceivers is the frequency synthesizer. And VCO is one of the major building block. So your approach should be that how to make the power consumptions of the LC-VCO as low as possible. I'm talking about the core power consumptions. Power consumption will further added because you might need some buffer for impedance isolations from output. Now come to the design. So normally, if you look at the design, I am showing you how to design a VCO using 1 volt supply. I purposefully make it more challenging because it's a 0.18 micron technology. That is your VDD is 1.8 volt. But I have been constrained that I have to use 1 volt supply. How to make a VCO? So normally when we go for the tutorial, we'll give you the theoretical background of why you require this cross-coupled one. But I can now straight away I'm jumping into the design. So if you look at, this is called cross-couple. So actually it is a differential pair, the PMOS and the NMOS, and they are cross-coupled. In between you will find an LC network, that is the tank circuits. The tank circuit, the resonant frequency is the resonant frequency of your, it is called the free running frequency of the oscillators. Where the F, the frequency of this oscillator is 1 by twice by root over of LC. where L is the inductor value and C is the capacitance. Now you understand, normally we keep the inductor value constant. That is, we are not varying the inductor value. We are varying the capacitance value. That is very traditional. But it doesn't mean that you cannot vary the value of the capacitance, the inductor. You can also have a variable inductors if it is allowable in on-chip design. We have tried and we are successful in designing an oscillators using varying inductor. But it is not so easy. But easy approach is to change the capacitors. Because if you have a MOS varactor, you can change the capacitance value of a MOS varactor by applying the voltage. You know that any MOS varactor, it will start from the accumulation region, then it will start its channel formations, inversion layer, deep inversion, and finally goes to deep inversion regions and having this change in the capacitance. So I am not going into the device part of it, you are already knowing, but it is very important in finding out the correct operating conditions to run a varactor. So that is the variable reactors, variable capacitance using a MOS cap. Then you have this another in pair cross coupled, and this is the current mirror to sink the current. There is a tail current source. And you remember that this capacitor, the variable the capacitors, is not only the capacitance which is across the inductor, but if you look at this capacitance is also added parallel to this capacitor, because if you look at this point, so this is the DC, so it is AC ground. So you can think of it, these two capacitors are basically parallel to the inductor. So if you look at the structure, it is like that. Just like that. That you have the frequency F is equal to 1 by twice pi root over of L C plus, that is the C0, which is the capacitance, plus some C variable. And so you can vary the frequency by varying this capacitance. Now, if for your design, suppose you are making a 2.4 gigahertz, actually you are fixing this for the design. This C, the MOS varactor capacitance, is for controlling purpose. So remember that when you design, you find a value, say I take the value L is equal to say 2 nanoampere. Then I know that F value is 2.4 gigahertz. Then I can calculate the C value, which is C0 equal to this. Because the value of this MOS varactor is not so high. So take it as a variable part to this. Another important consideration, that suppose you are making say 2.4 to 2.48 gigahertz. What value of C0 should be taken? Fixing what frequency? That is also, most of the designers make mistakes. They choose the starting frequency, okay, 2.4, and accordingly they select the value of C0. This is a wrong idea. Why? Because we remember that this C0, any MOS or any kind of RF design, capacitance are always added. The parasitic capacitance are added. It can never be reduced. So if you just think of it, that by C0 I select for 2.478 or 2.48 gigahertz, then I can add capacitance over there to reduce the frequency. Yes or no? So it is always, you remember that you fix your C0 not with the lowest value of the capacitance, not with the lowest value of the frequency, but with the highest value. Usually, normally, but further you will see that actually you have to put it at the center of it and then you vary this. But usually when you make a VCO, do not give the lowest frequency as the value to calculate the value of the capacitance. Then normally your capacitance will be added by parasitic effects and your frequency will be much lower than the desired. Because C will be always added. So your 2.4 will be 2.25 and then you have no options to increase it further because you can reduce the capacitance. Am I clear with this concept? Now this is the first things, and then if you look at the varactor part in the tutorial it will be more clear to you that you have an accumulation region and then you have the inversion and the deep inversion. So you have the variation, this is the C by C0. So C0 is the oxide capacitance, C ox. So it is 1. Finally this value is called VTH and the capacitance is going down and capacitance is going up. So if you apply the voltage here to change the capacitance, it monotonically decreases, your frequency will go up, or it will monotonically increases, your capacitance going up, that means your frequency will go up. Both the options are there. But you know that to make a linear operation of this capacitance, the region of operation is not very wide. So it is a very small voltage region. Suppose the threshold voltage is 0.6 volt. So it may be around 0.2 and it is around 0.4. Within this region you have to make your operations. And suppose my frequency difference delta F 2.4 to 2.48, that means 80 megahertz. Whereas the change in the voltage delta V equal to 0.2 volt. So there is a term called KVC, that is the VCO gain, which is nothing but delta F by delta V. So it is 80 by 0.2. That means it is 400 megahertz per volt. So that 400 megahertz per volt is extremely high, which is not at all a desirable limits for KVC. It is so sensitive that if in a small change in the voltage will introduce a huge frequency change. The gain is so high. Try to make this one, okay, less than say 100 megahertz. Okay. So make the KV0 lower. How to make it lower? Then in spite of that, you can use actually a bank of capacitors. So let me give you this one minute. So in spite of that, reduce this requirement of I1. So you remember that you have this variable cap and the C0. Then along with the C0, you have introduced the capacitor with the switch, MOS switch. So this is known as the capacitor bank. So as when required, you can turn on this switches by using 4-bit or 2-bit, this is 4-bit weighted average control bits. So you can actually add those capacitance to this C0 and CMOS to make a frequency selection. So what do you mean by this? So remember that initially I thought of that just we have a simple capacitor, MOS varactor, that we find that it will be extremely difficult to have only a MOS varactor as a LC tank. First of all, this process variation and all these things will vary my MOS varactor. So my free running frequency will be at the wheel of the MOS varactor. Therefore, we have given a fixed capacitance, so that it will have a free running frequency and small variations can be obtained through the variation of the capacitance. But when you think the variation is such a for 80 megahertz, then we find that the KVCO, that is the voltage gain or the oscillator gain is much higher, that is very sensitive. Then we introduce, in spite of a single tuning, we are introducing band select capacitance. It is how you do that? The same thing, that is 2.4 gigahertz. So what is this? We have this 2.40 to 2.48 gigahertz. So you are assuming that this 80 megahertz separation can be done by introducing the MOS varactor. But I found that KVCO is very, very high. So it's very sensitive for any change of voltage. And even the phase noise performance will be poor, because any noise that comes will be translated into phase noise multiplied with the KVCO. In spite of that, suppose this is 2.40 and next is 2.405. So there is a 5 megahertz channel space. I have the same change in the voltage, 0.2, so 5 megahertz divided by 0.2, how much is coming? 25 megahertz per volt. So this KVCO value is much, much lower. So which is an essential feature of any good VCO design. Hello? So it is 25 megahertz per volt, whereas we are getting 9400 megahertz per volt. So if you want to make it little bit more, say I have to have 2.4 to 2.42, then okay, 100 megahertz per volt, good design. But don't exceed it more than that. That means, what I say that, you can always make a coarse adjustment of your frequency, which is called the coarse tuning, by those band select filters, and then you go for your fine tuning by the MOS varactor. So what I say is that, make the design in such a way that this part will be giving the variation of this one binary weighted switch capacitors that actually acts as a band select filters like 5 megahertz band, and then you actually vary the in between band, the frequency may be varied by using this MOS varactor, so that you can have a low KVCO, which is essential for low phase noise design. And you know that this MOS varactor can be weighted with some kind of a switch, and this can be done by a 4-bit. So this is how you can actually make a fine tuning of your VCO using this part. Next one, which in the tutorial will derive that expressions. For the time being, we just explain that why we require a tank circuits. We'll give you the mathematical analysis to that, but before that physically we understand. if you look at the tank circuit L and C, then this tank circuit is observing, suppose there is a PMOS pair and there is an NMOS pair. Any of this pair, if you look at the impedance as seen by a cross-coupled pair, what will be the impedance? For it is minus 2 by GM, right? All of you know that. Any cross-coupled pair, the impedance as observed is minus 2 by GM. So if it is minus 2 by GM, and then if you look at the impedance as observed from the LC, so that will be a positive value. So what I say that in an oscillators, the oscillator tank circuit is in parallel with a negative impedance. So in some cases, suppose when the current is flowing to that, when it is actually passing through a positive impedance, then there is a power dissipation, heat dissipation. Whereas the negative one, that means the heat gets generated. So some sort of generation and dissipation, generations, so it is a self-sustaining block. And the self-sustaining block is actually nothing but an oscillation. So that means you are introducing some sort of a negative impedance. That is why you are having a negative or cross-coupled pair. Now you can say that this cross-coupled pair can be simply an N-type, because if you say I want to make it a 1 volt supply, then you know that you have to bias this transistor, these transistors as well as this. So there will be a problem of the headroom. To avoid that headroom, you can make this is simple NMOS coupled. Actually, this will also work. But if you look at the Barkhausen criteria, you need certain value of GM to say GM into some value R that is equal to 1, that reduces the oscillations of this. That is the starting condition of the startup condition of the oscillations. Now you are getting, suppose this is a cross-coupled pair having both P and N. Then what will be the overall impedance is minus 4 by GM, because both are added. Now think of it, that my condition to have an oscillations, I need say minus 2 by GM. I am just giving examples. But by this cross-couple find, I am getting minus 4 by GM. So what I can do that? I can now have GM by 2, that will also suffice my condition for oscillations. Take an idea. Suppose I am giving a pseudo CMOS, that is simple in cross-coupled device, pair, and with a tank circuit and so on, which will be enough for my oscillations. And that will give an impedance minus 2 by GM, and which is sufficient condition for starting the oscillations. My voltage problem is much less over here. That is true. So this is a good option. Most of the time you are making your oscillators like that. But look at here, if I can have this cross-coupled pair, then what will happen? The impedance becomes minus 4 by G. So now requirement of GM becoming half to have the oscillations over there. Now so if I say even half GM, my oscillator will start oscillations. That means what? I can drop less current to this. Suppose it introduces say 100 microampere current. That introduces say GM. Now to have GM by 2, I will drive 50 microampere current. So I can have the same impedance and the corresponding startup conditions, but at much lower current. So that's why you will be introducing a cross-coupled oscillators when the power consumption requirement is very, very stringent. And that will actually end up with a problem because you have a voltage entry. Because suppose you are scaling down the voltage to 1 volt,
whereas you want to introduce a 1.8 volt supply is being used to 1 volt. Okay. But the threshold voltage is 0.6. So you cannot say that both the transistors will be in on state. One of the transistors might go to linear or off state. So to have it, you are going to a only NMOS couple, but that will consume more power. So that is the optimization of the design we should have. But most of the popular architecture is like that. And how the voltage headroom problem can be solved, that we will take care later on. So in the tutorial, we will give you a details overview how to design this, how to derive those conditions like that. So now look at here, I will quickly go back, that how can you make this. So I have this structure, this band select filters or capacitors are there for coarse tuning, and this is MOS varactor is for fine tuning, and this is cross coupled pair for reducing the current, that is for low power consumption. And now the voltage headroom problem can be solved if you have a lower threshold voltage transistors. Now this low threshold voltage transistors is available in your cadence or in your PDK file, which is known as the native MOS. Those native MOS you can have whose threshold voltage may be around 0 volt. In this case 80 millivolt. So you can make use of that native MOS to circumvent the problem of voltage headroom. Right? Further, everything will come with a price. Suppose there is a native MOS is seeing directly connected to the ground, then what will happen? The main problem of the native MOS, all of you know, is the leakage current. So the leakage current will be high. So you put your native MOS in such a way that it will not see the ground or bias. That means you just look at here how we have done this. So this is a normal MOS, and native MOS cannot be PMOS. Native MOS is normally NMOS, like TSMC or other. So the PMOS is now native MOS. That is also seeing an NMOS, normal MOS. That is, suppose its VTH is 0.6, but it is 0.08, 80 millivolt. Then leakage will be not there because VDD and the ground is isolated by normal MOS. So that is the techniques you will introduce while you will be asked to design or scale down the voltage of a normal 180 nanometer technology node. So that is how you can make this. Secondly, I am giving you some tricks which you might use or may not use. Sometimes you feel that suppose this transistor is on, right? So when the transistor is on, then the voltage here is going down because the current is flowing through that. And this transistor is off, that means this transistor is having the voltage going up. So one condition might arrive that your VDS is such high, that means it is transistors going into the, or one of the transistor is not going into the saturation, it go to the linear or in the off state because of this current swing or the voltage variations over there. Am I clear? So voltage drop will be lower or higher. Suppose here the voltage is going up and up, then the VDS drop will be much lower and lower. Because there is a swing, right? There is a swing that is coming. Your output is coming from here. These 2 points are the output, LC tag. So now suppose one swing it is going up, another swing it is going this way up. So in one case it is going up, the other case is going down. So the drop across them either going up or down. So sometimes the condition of this saturation VDS is greater than VGS minus VT may not be considered, may not be satisfied. Therefore, one of the transistors might go into the non-saturation region, linear or in the off state. Now to avoid that, is this kind of directly cross-coupled pair can be replaced with some kind of a capacitive cross-couple. This is entirely up to you. I am giving you some sort of a tricks that sometimes you might feel that one of the transistors is not going into the saturation. In one cycle you find the distortions. Then you take care that how the VDS is following. and then you can have, because momentarily what will happen, it will hold the charge so that the VDS is not going down and the transistor will be on state. By that time it takes up. So with that momentarily you will actually holding the charge so that the other pair of the transistor is on. If you know that for a differential pair, one of the transistor is on and another transistor is off, but during the transitions, mostly this kind of glitches will come. So maybe you can have those kind of cross coupled pair. If you have a direct couple, you can have those capacitance cross coupled. That is the advantage to this. Secondly is that, so if you, I just say that VGS greater than VDS, so this is the advantage of that. Now coming into the next one, that sometimes the voltage here, you need this voltage to be at, these two pair should have the same voltage level. So if this is not, then there will be error voltage over here, right? So you can pick up that error voltage to a common mode feedback path and then feedback to this cross coupled pair to the gate of the transistor, so that correspondingly current will increase or decrease, and this becomes again in the balanced state. That means any unbalanced voltage over here, you can have a corrections to that by pushing more current through this loop, and you can actually, it is called common mode feedback. So in this common mode feedback, you can actually control the unbalanced phenomena, that is the voltage across to make it perfectly symmetrical shape of your output swing. So these are the two you can use, but this is in addition what you can improve the condition of your circuit operations. Secondly, that I have not shown you the circuit. This is the control voltage. So this capacitance is the VCO, that is the variable capacitors, that you have to give some sort of a MOS directed control voltage which will come later on. And this, how to use this control voltage to change the capacitance is another important issue. So I am going into this. For example, next one is how to make that divider. So that is a D flip-flop. So you can have those quad output, that is the phase and the quad phase components. And the condition for same oscillations is G into R greater than 1. That I will do in the tutorial class. So remember that the transconductance and the resistance, that overall resistance, which will explain what is the value of R and R and those things. Now, coming to the actual case. Suppose this is the output swing of the VCO. So this is the VCO. That means the, say, 1.8 gigahertz. So now it is the quad VCO. That means you will have the quadrature components of that. So you have the same VCO having 90-degree apart phase difference. So you can make the P VCO. So if you look at here, now what I said that you have used 4 such capacitance to have 2 to the power 4, 16 such bands. So start with that when all the zeros are there. So all the capacitance are actually in off state. Then the VCO is running at its free running frequency, that is only C0 and the C vector is there, and that is the frequency. Okay? And then you vary the MOS vector so that the variation is, you can see that. So this is select one, say band 1. Now you turn on one of the transistors, 001 of the capacitors. Then this capacitance is added, so your frequency falls, and then you, within this band, you are varying the frequency. Suppose it is, say, 2.4, okay? They are 2.45, so it will go to 2.405. It will go to 2.4, 2.7, 2.8, so it will go to 2.75. So like that. So you can vary the frequency within that band, 2.75 to say 2.7. So this is the variation. You can 0.5 or 5 megahertz variations you can find using this fine tuning. So there are 16 distinct channels can be obtained by varying the weighted average, digital weighted average of this voltage, which is fed through the switches. And this is the phase noise performance you can find. This is the phase noise performance. and this is the KVCO. How the KVCO, that means what is the variations of this. This is the supply voltage versus the frequency. So you need more or less the linear kind of a variation, and this is the corresponding KVCO in terms of the supply voltage. Okay, so you can plot those things. So what is the take from that thing is that means if you want to have the variation of the VCO without having any band select capacitance band, then what will happen? You have to vary the frequency from 810 megahertz to 950 megahertz by controlling only the control voltage. Then what will happen? The KVCO will be too high. But here what you have done, you have segmented the 810 megahertz to 950 megahertz into 16 segments. Each segment is defined by the weighted average of this 4-bit control by adding capacitance to the block, to the LC tank. And by adding more and more capacitance, you are actually pushing the frequency such that from band 1, band 2, band 3, band 4, like that. And then within the band, you are varying the frequency by changing the control voltage. Clear? So, you are actually reduces the KVCO, and also you are having a very two kind of VCO operation. One is for the coarse tuning, another is for the fine tuning. So look at here, if you make this kind of a design, what I showed that suppose you have a 1.8 volt supply and 0.18 micron technology, but you are given the task that the oscillator to be designed only with 1 volt, then you can see that what is the tuning range you are expecting. That is for GSM phone, that is 825 megahertz to 975 megahertz. KVCO is 50 megahertz per volt, so it is quite good. And if you look at the phase performance at 3 megahertz, it is minus 133 megahertz. It requires a lot of improvements because normally 120 megahertz at 120 dBc at 1 megahertz spacing is the most desirable one. So you have to improve the phase nudge performance. KVDD is another very important part because if there is a small variation of the VDD supply, that might cause the shift in the frequency. So that is also called supply sensitivity. So that supply sensitivity should be as low as possible. Then if you look at the power consumptions, it is 3.5 milliwatt, and you can define a figure of merit where this is the power at single side band, then delta F is the frequency tuning range, F0 is the center frequency, this is the power consumed by these VCO and milliwatt. So this is the SSB means the power spectral at the desired frequency. Suppose at 950 megahertz, what is the single side band power of this? So this is the figure of merit for any VCO that is defined in that way. Next one is, if you look at the VCO, how will you make the whole design? So if you look at LC VCO, the LC is in the biggest one is the inductor, right? So that is say, normally your turn should not be more than 3 half. Normally 2 half and 3 half turns are good enough. So you are using the say 6 metal layer, the top metal layer for making the inductor. And then this is the cross coupled pair and the varactor. So this is the active regions. And then actually there are a lot of buffers, etc. I will go into that. So it is a very, very primitive oscillators long back, and this is the ring and the pad and so on. And this is the cross coupled pairs, varactors. So you can see how you can make the layout. But these are quite old design. But to give you some idea that how it is fully on-chip VCO, right? There is all components between the inductor and the capacitors are within the die. And once you have the die, then you should make some kind of a pin connection. So where all the pins are there, so you can actually make RF line, so DC line, and those RF line you should have those the GSD kind of probing. So those things has to be taken care by them. Okay? And you have to make or design the board in this way so that the oscillator, this is an oscillator, so that you can find that the PCB trace is not uniform in its width. because it made it purposefully, because output is always CA50 impedance transformation. So therefore we have introduced this kind of a tapered pattern so that impedance mismatch can be controlled. That means matching network. So you have to introduce those kind of matching performance in the PCB layer. Now coming to this, another very important point. You have seen those pins and pads, right? So if you look at here, so you have to make those bond wire which connect to the external lead. So those bond wires are here. For example, here if you look at the PCB, and this is the that signal part. If you look at that, this is the chip part, and this is the PCB. This is the package, and this is the PCB part. So three domain you can actually segment your home chip. One is the silicon part. So this is the silicon part. This is the oscillator, and this is the pad. I showed you the pad, right? Then you have from the pad you have the bond wire that connects to the external pin, and from the pin you have the PCB. And I already mentioned in the PCB you have those 50 ohm impedance transmission matching path. Therefore these are tapered. Normally you can do it by various software. And then you can see that from the oscillator, this is the LCVCO and the pad. So this requires some sort of a buffer so that any change in the impedance over here would not affect the LC tank impedance. If it affects, then what will happen? The oscillator frequency will shift. So that is the biggest problem every oscillator designer should have, that external load should not change the oscillation frequency. So that oscillator should be isolated from the external world, that is the pad. In between the pad and oscillator, you can introduce this kind of a source follower as the buffer. So this is one of the tricks you should do. And in the pad, there should be some sort of a electrostatic discharge. So you can have those kind of a reverse quad diode kind of a discharge protecting circuits. So electrostatic discharge protecting diode circuits. Normally these kind of circuits are given in the IOE. You need not to design it, but be careful while you be submitting the chip whether this is given or not. After the pad, there is a bond wire, and bond wire needs to be modeled correctly. So this is the bond wire model for this case 180 nanometer CMOS process. That is, it will be resistance is 3 milliohm and the inductor is 700 picohenry, and this is the capacitance is 140 femtofarad, where this length is roughly 1 millimeter. And in this case, the pin, when this goes to the pin, normally the pin size, it is the external lead and is the pad. The pad size is roughly 60 micron to 60 micron or 100 micron into 100 microns. And then it goes to the 50 ohm, and that 50 ohm trace you have already. So this is the whole story about any oscillator. And if you look at this, if you look at the actual measurement data of the same thing, you can find how we are finding the change in the voltage with respect to the frequency variation. So you can find as we increase the control voltage, the frequency is varying in discussions, right? And you can see that when zero voltage, it is divider output is 942 megahertz, actual frequency is 1.88, then actually it is going up and down. But if you look at here, actual simulation results and the measured result, there is a huge difference. Then we found that this kind of difference can be because of the lower value of the quality factor of inductor, one, and secondly, the capacitance model, if it is poor, then you can have those kind of problems. So make sure that you don't use the MOS cap as the capacitor, reference capacitor, those band capacitors. I will advise you to use MIN cap, metal insulator, metal capacitors. Its temperature variations and its model is much better than those, because those band select switches based, those capacitors are much more robust if you have a MIN cap like that. And the lower value of my measured results is because the quality factor of this inductor is very poor. One of the reasons for the poor quality factor is that because you might have a constraint to design your RF circuit in a digital design. For example, in standard C2S design, when you work with work with SCL, then SCL doesn't have any special RF process. They have the digital CMOS process. And in the digital CMOS process, your AP layer is doped. So if you look at the AP layer dope and your inductor is at the 6th metal layer or 4th metal layer, then eddy current loss will be pretty high. So quality factor will be much lower. So normally to improve the performance of your VCO, you need a highly resistive surface, substrate. That means your AP layer should be undoped. And that undoped AP layer is normally given by RF CMOS special process, which is not given by SCL or not given by some digital CMOS process. So you have to know that that is a tricky thing. So you have to take care of that change in this one. So if you look at there, you have the digital bits, because 0001 that I showed you, that how the channel selects are made by the digital patterns. And then you calculate that what will be my frequency over here. You can see that the frequency is 931.307 megahertz. Okay? So that is the, and you can find there are few kinks over here. And these two kinks are known as the reference part. That is, it is sparse, means this is the 5 megahertz clock that is actually is giving those parts, and the integer values are giving those parts. So your design should take care of that spark to reduce it. So the spark reduction is another thing which is very important in the visual design. So just I mentioned that AP layer is an issue, and then we actually take care of AP and non-AP layer and simulated that one. Then more or less we have predicted the behavior of the VCO, considering it is a non-AP layer. So our assumptions that by going into non-AP layer, I can improve the quality factor, and thereby I can give much better frequency response compared to what we have in AP layer. But you know, normally for SOC, you have to use the digital CMOS process. So then in your design, you have to be careful how to make it robust and make it much better design. So this is a very fast-end design as to begin with. But now I think our tutorial will give you more emphasis on how to design an inductor. So in a nutshell, I purposefully give you a very overview that what is a VCO, what is the role of a VCO, where the VCO is used, and how the VCO is working, and then what are the small components of the VCO, like varactor, like band select filter, band select switches, like those cross-coupled pairs, and so on. Now actual tutorial will found how to design a MOS capacitors, a CMOS VCO.
How do we simulate the one-way patterns?
Model is available, you cannot simulate. Otherwise, what I am suggesting you that I did it that I made 60 micron to 60 micron pad and another pad 60 micron. Then I made different length gap to put the bond.